So your boundary lines are determined by the inequality symbols, okay? You pick your test points and they let you know if you're going to shade above the line or below the line. If your inequality has one of these, it's going to be a dotted line. If it has one of these, it's going to be a solid line. 0, 0 is the perfect test point. You know why? Because everybody can multiply by 0, right? So if you pick 0, 0, it'll help you know, do I shade on this side where 0, 0 is, or do I shade on this side? Now, if 0, 0 happens to be on the line, you can't use it. You need to, because you need to know exactly which side to shade. So just pick a different test point. Look at your graph and say, I'll pick an ordered pair over here, or I'll pick an ordered pair over there. Here's this chart just real quick to kind of give you an idea. So if you put it in slope-intercept form where you have the y by itself, then you're able to look at it and determine which side to shade. If you leave it in standard form, it's going to be harder, but you can still figure it out. It's just going to be harder. You just can't immediately look at it. So if it's y less than or equal to mx plus b, that means you're going to shade on or below the boundary line. So depending on how your line looks, so if your line is vertical, and we'll do some top and bottom, or if it's slanted, you have left or right. So that's what that means. If it says less than, you're going to shade below, but not including the boundary line. This is where you're going to have a dotted line, okay? Y greater than or equal to mx plus b, you're going to shade above, on or above the line. Now, if your line is horizontal, above, but if it's slanted, you have to say, okay, what side is greater, what side is less than, above or below, okay? So it's kind of awkward how you look at it. And of course, if it's just greater than, then that's above, not including the boundary line. So without the equal signs, it's dotted, meaning the line's not included. With the equal signs, the line is included as a solution, okay? Now, careful. I just said this. You want to make sure you put it in slope-intercept form. If you put it in slope-intercept form, you can rely on this chart immediately. If you leave it in standard form, it's going to be a little hard to determine which side to shade on. You can still pick test points. Test points always work. That never changes. But if you decide to bypass doing test points, as long as you have it in this form, then you can say, oh, I'm going to shade on the left, shade on the right, shade top, or shade bottom. If it's in standard form is when the X and the Y are on the same side. It's going to make it, you're going to have to do a test point so that you can decide which side to shade on. If you don't put it in standard form and you put it in slope-intercept form, you can actually look at it and say, okay, depending on this chart, I know above or below, left, right, top, bottom.